discussion. Seth, I know that it's very difficult at Midway. Southwest is a big airline there. There was a shortage of gates. But, when you travel in other parts of the world, if there are those issues, sometimes they'll bring portable, gates out to the airlines. And then there are shuttle buses. So at least you can get off of the airplane. Why don't we see more of that in the U.S.?
Yeah, so you're right. And Midway in particular, just not a lot of space. Southwest has about 33 gates there, and they do about 200 departures and 200 arrivals a day, a little more than that. So you can imagine that once things start going wrong, there's not a lot they can do. And I know people say, yeah, well, why not bring out a bus? I mean, I've been on one of those flights a few years back at JFK, actually. We're stuck for more than 3 hours. And we finally got out through a door on the right, the catering door, because, they managed to bring a bus up there because the snow is piled too high on the left. So basically, by time these things happen, it's kind of too late to use all those other solutions that might work when you don't need them.
Do you agree with that, Phil? I mean, because there are other parts of the world that I've traveled to, and I know you've traveled to, and the weather is bad, and they manage to get you off the tarmac. Is it a legal issue? Is it a liability issue?
It's primarily an infrastructure issue and a manpower issue. Sue, we have built our airports in this country so the airplanes move up to the gate, and then you have the jetway that comes out. There are very few in this country where you actually see people walk downstairs and get onto a bus or then walk into the terminal. And as a result, it brings up questions. You would have to have the airports all by the kind of portable stairs and gates so they could accommodate this, and they'd have to have the buses. And you have a lot of airports that are already strapped for cash saying, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, but
you know what? This is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and at least that's the way they look at it.
Yeah,
and their feeling is, we're not going to invest in this infrastructure in order to change this in the future.
But, Seth, on the other hand, it might be worth it because now they're facing stiffer fines that they were never facing before as a result of those incidents with JetBlue a few years back. Wouldn't you think maybe an ounce of prevention here?
Yeah, and Sue, that's exactly why this is happening less now. Certainly, you're looking, it's $27,000 per passenger, the fines. You do the math, 140 or so people on the plane, you're looking at $4 million up to that per flight. So they are taking, in fact, they cancel flights in advance, proactively, they would say, a lot more than they used to. Southwest yesterday canceled about 60 flights leaving Midway, about 60 coming in, but it just wasn't enough. Basically, what you have is a trade-off. Nowadays, airlines do cancel far more flights. They're much more likely to leave tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 passengers home, say, you know what, let's just try again tomorrow, to avoid this situation where you have a few hundred people stranded, and yet we see yesterday it still wasn't enough.
I know.
Sue,
they all try
real
their
quick,
best.
Sue, if they wanted to change this, they could also make the fines not just for the airlines, who are responsible for the gates, make it for the airports, too. I bet you they'd move a lot quicker, a lot quicker if they knew they'd be fined.
I think you're right. Ironically, given the situation that we saw yesterday, the airlines are all up today. Very strong percentage moves in the airlines, including Southwest, which I think is up almost 3%. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much.